Chris Donaldson, Executive Chairman of TinOne Resources, relatively new company listed on the TSX venture under TOR-C. We've got a basket of tin projects in Australia, primarily in Tasmania, which we have been drilling, at least our flagship, for the last 6 months. So we love Tasmania, we love Australia. Certainly there's an emphasis on good jurisdictions for tin. You hear the Teslas of the world talking about sourcing materials from good jurisdictions. Over 75% of the tin in the world comes from, what many would consider dubious jurisdictions like Myanmar and the DRC, China, Indonesia, and so forth. So there are very few projects in, we'll call them Tier 1 jurisdictions. So happy to be in Tasmania. I think we have 5 of the 7 tin occurrences in Tasmania now, so we've got a very strong position. Yeah, so we've been very busy over the last 6 months. Our flagship project is called Great Pyramid. Great Pyramid in Tasmania had a historic resource on it of about 10,000 tons at about 0.2%. And we've started to drill out on that with a goal, or several goals. One is to reconfirm the historic resource and also hopefully expand on it. So we're starting to get some of the results out now. We just, I think about 2 weeks ago, released our first batch of results, which were spectacular. All of the RC holes, I think there's 15 that came out, hit over 2.2%. We had one phenomenal hit of 0.5% over 23 meters in a zone that hadn't had seen much drilling at all. So very good results. So we're hitting better mineralization than what we thought. We're also extending it at depth. So we're drilling deeper than what they had drilled before. So of the 5,500 meter program, I think we've got about 2/3 of that in, and so we'll have some more news coming over the next couple of months. So, apart from the drilling, we've been active on the acquisition front as well. We just secured a property called Radler Range, which is about an hour north of our Great Pyramid project. Really excited about that. It's got some good historic workings on it, but very little modern exploration. So that's really rounding out our portfolio of assets, and it complements our third project, which is Aberfoyle, which is about 45 minutes drive from Great Pyramid. Aberfoyle will be the next project that we work on once we're finished drilling at Great Pyramid. Aberfoyle, historic tin district, produced over 2 million tons. The old timers were chasing high-grade veins, but never really had much planning or foresight on what they're doing. So we're going at it with a kind of a modern exploration lens, doing quite a bit of work right now, just mapping and exploring soil sampling and so on, exploring those high-grade veins, and also to see if we find some other ones. The goal is to get some drill targets so that when we're wrapped up at Great Pyramid, we can shift our program over to Aberfoyle. And then the last thing is we got some cash. So it's been a tough market over the summer. We managed to raise over $2 million, which is more than enough to get us through this program that we have and be good for the next year. It's definitely been a difficult market. The tin industry is very interesting. It's considered the forgotten battery metal. Over half the use is coming from solder, which is used in electrification. So it's the glue that holds a battery together, or semiconductors and so forth. So that, if you look on kind of the demand profile for the long term, is certainly positive. The supply side is more interesting in that, as I mentioned before, about 75% comes from these dubious jurisdictions. Some of these countries are withholding the metal, and results in a price squeeze. So about 7 months ago, we saw an all-time high in the tin price. It's since pulled back a bit. Tin is as cyclical as any of the metals. When there's a squeeze, the price really pops up. Unfortunately, right now it's down. So, if the question is, how do you navigate that? Well, we really just have to worry about what we can control, which is, in the case of Great Pyramid, expanding on the resource and really underpinning the value of the company. And those windows, when the market is good, will open up. And for that, we're thankful that we have a team backed by Venture Capital that's able to raise money at the right times, and an experienced workforce that's able to move these ahead. So when the market is good and we're getting a tailwind on the share price, that we're well positioned. It's tough for any retail investor, coming into the market here. There are 2,000 juniors across the various boards and so on. So a couple things to look at, and when I do my own investing, what I look at is, number one is team, is have they done it before? In our case with TinOne, we're backed by Invented Capital, which is headed by Craig Perry and Mike Connard. Craig Perry, many of your viewers will know a lot of success he found at ISO Energy and NextGen, and is chairman of Skeena Resources and Vizsla Silver. Mike Connard's the CEO of Vizsla Silver, has taken companies at our stage and grown them. Doesn't happen overnight, but he's grown them into significant assets where shareholders have made a lot of money. So, management and team and backing is absolutely key. The second thing is being in a commodity that has a good long-term profile in terms of supply and demand. It's hard to tell when things are going to spike, but if you look at the long-term demand, especially for tin, it's not going away. Any kind of electrification will increase that demand. So we're in the right space with the right team. And then the third thing is project. We've got a project that has a historic resource. It's not totally greenfield. We'll have good news flow and as we just grow this resource. Yeah, so I've certainly had some wins, but I've also had some losses in the sector. But probably my best win was a company I worked for called Western Copper and Gold, and it's a very large copper gold porphyry up in the Yukon in a development stage. And really, I looked at the long-term fundamentals of copper. I believed in the space. I believed in the management team. And anytime it took a hit in the market, I was picking up shares. And over time, that's proved really well. Copper certainly has finally went on its run and ended up being a very good investment for me. No, certainly a lot to like about TinOne. We're just starting out. Our market cap's about $7 million or so right now. There's a lot of upside. We've just raised money, so we're good. We've got a program. We've got drill results coming out. The first batch have been better than we could have expected. The market is not hot right now for this space, but I think that is the opportunity. So with all those things coming, hopefully a little tailwind in the market, some good results over the next year or so, I think we got a lot of runway ahead.